Hello and welcome to Coconut Chats, everyone. Today you've got me, Harita, and I'm joined with Chris. How are you going, Chris?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So today we've got a guest from Melbourne. She is 30 years old. She had a fairly normal life. She's got one toddler. She's happily married. And one day, all of a sudden, she fell sick. And one thing led to another. And within a week, she found out that she had stage 4 lung cancer, which would have been quite a shock. But before I say too much about her, we can let her talk about her own journey. Hi, Anchal, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks. So, we'll obviously let you talk about what happened. So, I guess to start off with, I didn't even know you had lung cancer. I knew that you had a brain tumor. So, when you told me that you actually had lung cancer first, that was even more of a shock to me. So, I guess I would like to know, how were you diagnosed with a brain tumor and what led to it, and what stage was it at when it was detected?
So basically, I was pregnant, and I think maybe during week 10 or so, I'd started vomiting and stuff a lot. And I think myself and the doctors and all of us, we just sort of ruled it out as morning sickness. So it just started off as, fairly like vomiting once in 3, 4 days. And then it became like every single day. And then I couldn't see anything. Like I couldn't bear to look at the light. Even with all the lights off and everything, I was literally putting a pillow over my head or a blindfold on because I couldn't bear to look at the light. And still, when I spoke to the doctors, we just all thought that it was severe morning sickness, which was new because I didn't have that in my last pregnancy. Like I didn't vomit even once. And then, so we did blood tests and stuff and everything was fine. And I had such a bad cough, I think, from December. So I started vomiting in January, but I had a cough from December. And then obviously we were really scared because of COVID. But I know I was testing every 3, 4 days and it wasn't COVID. And, I was at a point where I was like, oh, just be COVID and let's be done with it. So I'd taken 3 rounds of antibiotics. And then the doctor was like, look, if you're not better, I'm going to have to do an x-ray, which she didn't want to do, obviously, because I was pregnant. Fast forward all of that, I had done an NIPT test just to find out the gender. I don't know why, this time around I was I just wanted a girl. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about anything else. And so I'd done the NIPT test, and in that, like I had to do it again. They were like, oh, results are not conclusive. And then they called me and they said, look, we have something to tell you. Please, can you come in? But my husband's grandma was passing away and he was flying to Singapore that day. So I was like, and I was in no condition to go again. Even when I redid my test, like I was vomiting, I was a mess. And I was like, I can't come, please just tell me over the phone. And they couldn't, they're just like, no, we need to see you, please just find a way to come. So I went with my husband, like we got an appointment within half an hour. We went there and, they said that, look, we can't see the baby's DNA because the mother's DNA is covering that. And that only happens if there's a tumor in the mom's body. And so even when they said that, like I wasn't scared. I was just like, okay, because, tumor, I was like, I feel fine. It could be anywhere. We'll just get the tumor out and carry on. But I was obviously just a mess in terms of being sick, but emotionally I was fine. And then they got a hold of a specialist who like called us within, an hour, and he spoke to us, asked us what the symptoms were and everything. And then he said, look, we need to do further scans. But because I was in such a state, he was like, I don't want her to go as an outpatient for these scans. Just take her to the nearest hospital and get her admitted and let's go from there. So this was all on a Tuesday night. So I went to the hospital. I was probably in the emergency department for like 6 hours. I was just sleeping, so I don't even know anything that was going on. They admitted me, and then on Wednesday, they did like a whole bunch of ultrasounds and things like that. And then like just normal, I think the oncologist came and was like just feeling for lumps and everything, and everything was fine. And then they scheduled me for an MRI on the Thursday. So I went in for the MRI in the afternoon. Again, I don't remember any of this. Like, I don't remember seeing any of it. I just know it in my head because I was wearing a blindfold the whole time, like one of those eye masks you get to relax. Like, I was literally just wearing that the whole time. So I don't even remember any of it in vision. And so after they did the MRI again, like I went to sleep, everything, and then the doctor came in. And at that point, Erwin was on his flight to Singapore. Again, because look, it was a big thing, like a, tumor, and I was in the hospital and things like that. But I think even with him, like he was in such a state, none of us were, it wasn't sinking in that, it could be something big or anything. And he just, like, his grandma was literally on her deathbed, so he just rushed to Singapore. And then the doctor came to me and she was just like, can I speak to you? And she was like trying to find a polite way to talk, and I was just like, can we just tell me, like, it's fine. And she was like, oh, we found 4 tumors in the brain. And I was like, okay. And she's like, are you okay? And I feel like I was just so normal. Like, someone could have just come and said, oh, they've just said you found this virus in the blood. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I texted my uncle, my mom's brother, and I was like, the doctor just said this. I was like, I will tell mom and papa and, Erwin and everyone, but I was like, I just haven't even processed it. I'm just going to sleep and then I will wake up and tell them. But I just needed to tell someone. By the time I woke up, obviously my uncle had like told my parents, and Erwin was still on his flight. So my parents were like, what do we do? So I was like, just tell him as it is, like, don't sugarcoat things, because I feel like him not knowing will work him up more than if he knows. So he landed in Singapore, and obviously the first thing they told him was, look, the doctors said there's 4 tumors in her brain. And so I was at Box Hill Hospital, and they said that they don't have any neurologists over there. So they would have to move me at some point to the Royal Melbourne. And I couldn't have visitors or anything because of COVID. And then, I don't know, I slept. I would have talked to everyone, at some point in some way. I can't even remember. And then I think at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, they moved me to Royal Melbourne in an ambulance. And then I got there, I was waiting in the emergency department. I think around 7 o'clock, a doctor came and they were like, look, we're going to have to do an MRI again just to make sure. And then they shaved the parts of my head that the first scan showed them there were tumors in, because they were like, we want to look at them better. And they were like, look, an MRI, just letting you know there are chances of this affecting your pregnancy and this and that. And obviously at that point I was like, just do what you got to do. There's no point me being pregnant like this. And then again, like within half an hour they came and they said, look, we're doing the MRI now, and then in the afternoon we're going to have to do surgery to get the tumors out, because that's what's pressing on the nerves that's causing you to, like, lack of vision and the vomiting and all of that. And then they took me for the MRI, and straight away they said, you know what, the surgeon said they want to operate now, so we're taking you straight in there. Again, is everything okay? Like, it's, going to it might affect your pregnancy, things like that. And are you sure you're fine with that? And I was kind of just like, well, I can't not be fine with it. Like, what am I supposed to say? No, just leave me in this condition so I can carry on, the rest of my pregnancy. So they did all of that. So when they did the second scan, there were 5 tumors in the brain, 3 at the front and 2 at the back. So they took out the 2 at the back that were pressing on the nerves. They said 3 at the front were not doing anything. And so obviously wanted to monitor that after. And then they did a biopsy on the tumors. And so then, and this was all on a Friday. So Friday morning, they had done everything. I just remember going into surgery at 10 o'clock in the morning and coming out at 6 p.m. And then they said, look, we're going to do a biopsy. It normally takes 2 days to find out, whether it's cancerous or not. And again, like, I think I was just so, I was like, it's okay, everything works out. It's not going to be cancerous. Like, my pregnancy is fine. I wasn't even worried. Like, I was just like, no, it's all going to be fine. So every single day, they'd come in and, check. And I was just like, yep, I feel good. I feel fine. And then on Monday, the brain surgeon came in. And I don't know what, like, I was so lucky that I ended up getting one of Australia's best brain surgeons. Like, literally everywhere she went, there'd be like a group of people going behind her, like doctors, to like, hear what she has to say and stuff. And so she came and she said, look, the results aren't in yet, but she was like, in my years of doing this, I've never come across so many tumors that are from the brain. They're definitely coming from somewhere else. But we need to check where. So then they did a CT scan of my full body. And then that's where they found a large tumor in the left lung. And so basically, blood test, did everything. Finally on Wednesday, they told me that, look, it is stage 4 lung cancer. I don't smoke. I don't, any of that. So I feel like I was kind of just like, okay, but even the doctor I could tell was, scared to tell me anything because it is such a big thing. And he was like, look, I don't understand it. Your lungs look clear. It doesn't look like you smoke to me. He's like, we've done the tests. It's not genetic either. So it's obviously just something in your body that's decided, hey, let's just flip and do things a different way. And that's what's caused it. And so that's what spread the tumors to my brain. So obviously they did a scan of the full body. There were no tumors anywhere else, just 1 in the lungs and 5 in the brain, which they took 2 out. Obviously my husband's first question was, well, what's the survival rate with this? And so the doctor said, he was like, look, he didn't want to answer the question. He was like, well, it doesn't matter. And my husband like, no, like, what is it? So they basically said, again, I don't really know. I don't remember the details of what kind of lung cancer and things like that. But basically it's at a stage where he said chemo would not work. So there's no point doing chemo. They've basically put me on a tablet every day that's just lifelong now, that controls the cancer, but it doesn't kill it. So, I mean, they've been happy with the results. Like, so I keep going for scans like every 3 months now. So it's been 7 months since, so I've done 2 scans, and they say the tumors have shrunk to almost nothing, both in the head and in the lungs. And that was better than what they expected. Like, they were ready, to have to do radiation and things like that. But they were like, there's no need for any of that. Fortunately, I haven't been reacting to the tablets in any bad way. Like, I've literally had no side effects. Like, I feel like if someone was to see me, I just
they wouldn't know.
Yeah. In fact, if you come into my house and you're like, someone in this house has this, you'd probably think it's my husband because he's sick all the time, and I'm literally like, no cold, no nothing. So it does blow my mind that I'm like, how does this exist? So basically they say with this medication it just keeps working until one day it doesn't work. So one day your body is just like, hey, I know how to work around this. And then, well, they see what to do. It is a bit harder now because, so the medication I take is called osimertinib, which used to be like the last resort medication that they would give to patients like myself, because the retail price on the box says $7,900, but
Oh,
they're
wow.
tablets. The Australian government subsidized it in 2019, and I paid $42.50 for 30 tablets.
Oh, that's a big difference.
So they've changed that because it was so effective. They've changed it to a first line medication, and the government has subsidized it. But so, you know, anywhere else in the world or things like that, it actually costs about $8,000 a box.
For a month.
So, yeah,
Wow.
for a month. So I don't know who would pay that. Like, I can see why people would literally, you know, sell their house and everything. I feel like someone like me would just be like, oh, it's okay, I just want to go. I'm not paying that much for a survival rate of, they say the average rate is 38 months.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, wow. So I guess like, so with the lung cancer and the brain tumors, how did it affect your pregnancy? I mean, I know, but for our listeners, you know, did you continue with the pregnancy or did you have to do something else?
yeah, so I wasn't able to continue with my pregnancy. So basically they said, I mean, they gave me an option, but it wasn't really an option. I was 15 weeks pregnant when I terminated. They basically said that, again, like when you're pregnant, you know how you can't take like Nurofen or things like that, dangerous for the baby. They were like, obviously, this medication is like, you cannot be pregnant on it. So I didn't really have a choice but to terminate. I guess I did ask so many questions, you know, I was like, how about is there any other medication that I can take and continue? And then, you know, after my pregnancy, I'll go into the stronger one. So they were like, yes, there is other things you can take, but again, no guarantee of how the baby will turn out, and no guarantee that it will be effective for you. And then I was like, look, well, let's say I take this medication, my survival rate is 38 months. I was like, I don't want to live 38 months if I can't have my kid. I just want to have my kid. And if, you know, I go straight after I deliver, whatever, you know, just emotions. I was like, I don't care, this and that. And again, same thing. They were like, right now your body's fighting that. We don't know if you can go to term with a baby. And I think more than anything, I think my oncologist's main concern was, he was like, look, I can't guarantee what the pregnancy is going to be like. He's like, you might have a perfectly fine baby, but he's like, you're not going to live. And he's like, do you want to do that to your husband? Like, your son is not even, like, it would have been a 2-year age difference because I was due in August and my son's 2 now. He was like, do you want to go and leave your husband with a 2-year-old and a newborn? Do you want to spend the next few months of your life, you know, not with your son, but just, you know, being pregnant with this baby, giving birth and then going? Is that what you want to do? And while I was emotional, I was like, yes, yes, yes. But obviously when I thought about it, I was like, obviously not. Yes, when I terminated up, literally, like, till now, I think I struggle with that because it's not, and again, like, I don't take away from the pain of a miscarriage or not being able to conceive and things like that. The pain of everything is great, but it's like, I constantly feel like a murderer almost, because I'm like, my baby was perfectly fine. And for me to live, not even like live forever, like live a few years, I've pretty much killed this baby. I know that's not the term, but in my head, obviously, that's how I look at it. And, even when they did the scans after that, I was like, please let there be something wrong with the baby, like, just to eat my guilt. But everything was perfectly fine. And it was just, I think I just looked at my husband and I looked at my child. And in that moment, then I was like, you know what? I'm not even thinking about this. It's not fair on them for me to just be like, here's our 2-year-old son. Here's a newborn baby. Go figure it out. Work, look after them, do everything. We have no family in Melbourne. We have no one. So I think that was my biggest deciding factor, where I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this. How it would have affected my pregnancy, I'll never know. But I think it was also a risk I didn't want to take, because I was like, what if the baby's not fine? So forget about like just handing my husband a newborn and dying. I was like, what if the baby's not fine? And then I die like 6 months later. How is that? Has he asked for that? Has my son asked for that? Has the newborn asked for that kind of life? So I think that kind of just made me, and it hurts every single day. Like, I'll see my newborn, my 2-year-old always look at babies and like he loves them. I'm just like, why couldn't you be a kid that hates babies or something like that? But it is what it is. And,
But Anchal, what you mentioned is kind of, I get a few questions from here. You had the choice, right, where the doctor advised you and you had the choice to go, kind of not continue with your pregnancy. But a lot of women die in childbirth.
Yeah.
They leave their husbands clueless, right? And especially we are in a country of privilege. As you mentioned, Australia has the best care. A lot of women in South Asian countries, they don't have that privilege. Obviously, cancer for many women is just giving up everything. So if a woman in your situation is in a not so privileged society, what would be your message to them? What would you tell them to do?
I think just look out for yourself first, not for yourself. So I think even like with this decision of mine, it's not been for me. If I'm like on my own, I don't care about what I have. I don't care about any of this. But I think in all of this, we also forget that like what our husband's life would be. And like you said, we're so privileged here. Like he would have had that support, like the income or, something sort of help, subsidies. But I actually, like, it scares me to think how, people manage in other parts of the world. Forget about anything else, just the cost of my medicine, like that just blows my mind. And so I feel like, I know people don't really take it well sometimes when you say you're counting your blessings instead of looking at the bad thing. It's kind of, toxic positivity. I do not believe in toxic positivity, but I think I will have a cry about things. So I'll cry about it. I'll be like, why can't I have this? Or why I feel fine? Why is my life like this? Or, someone would be horrible. And I'm like, why do people like that deserve to live? How did this happen? But at the same time, like what keeps me going, what puts a smile on my face is when I look at people that don't have that privilege. I have a house to live in. I have a child. I have a husband. I can pay for my medication. So many people don't have that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm so thankful for things like that. And, if someone didn't have that privilege, I don't know. I actually don't even know what my advice to them would be.
Having said that, Anchal, have you ever thought of kind of reaching out to those women and talking about your own journey so that they can get inspired and they get, that ray of hope, getting it from someone who's lived it? Have you ever?
I have thought about it. I can't say I've had the courage to do so. That's why, like, even, one of my work colleagues, because obviously I was working. So initially, sorry, I didn't even mention this. I went back to work and work was obviously like, you crazy, like, don't come back, like, take the time off. And I think initially I was just like, no, everything's normal. Everything's fine. I went back to working full time and, so this was in March, and then come June, I think as things sort of, I was like, life is not normal, you know, not normal. So I quit my job. But, you know, one of my colleagues, so I have been like on Instagram, I think I have been a lot more vocal about it. My husband was just asking me yesterday, he was like, I noticed that you've been saying a lot more and things like that. And I think it is because what helped me the most, and not now, I think postpartum, like even when I think back, I think the struggle that I had postpartum is nowhere near the struggle I had now. Like that was hard. Right. And if it wasn't for all these like Instagram pages and stuff being so open about things, and you know, like I'd sit there crying that I can't go do my nails, and I was like thinking I'm the worst, you know, mom in the world. How can I have a cute newborn in front of me and I'm here crying because I can't do my nails? And I would keep reading like, you know, it's normal, it's fine. And I feel like if it wasn't for these pages, or if it wasn't for people sharing their struggles, I'd just sit here thinking I'm this awful person for feeling this way. And I think that's what's kind of pushed me to like, I share my struggles, but at the same time, and again, I think it had reached a point where I was constantly getting, oh, you're so strong. Oh, you're so happy all the time. And like all of us, our Instagram posts are, I'm not going to post me crying. It's going to be, you know, my son doing something cute, even though like 2 minutes later, I've had the biggest cry because he's so difficult. So I think lately I've been trying to put more out there in terms of, today I cried because of this. Today, in fact, just before this interview, like I was at childcare, and I don't think one of the childcare teachers knew, and she was just like telling me about how her kid is so grown up, and she's like, oh, don't, you know, this time's going to pass so quickly. Soon he's going to be in uni, and you're going to be wondering, you know, where has time gone?
Yeah.
And straight away, like I didn't say anything, but I was like, I wish, you know, I want to see him. Like those are things that upset me. And so I think I've started to be more vocal about it. That said, just today, in fact, I signed up for, so I noticed there's this lung foundation thing, which is what I sent you. I hadn't come across that page before, but I noticed they have like a peer connect sort of thing, where you can talk to people who are sort of going through the same thing. So I've just joined that. They said they'll give me a call tomorrow, Wednesday.
That's awesome. Like in a way that
so good.
You're giving us some help. But Anchal, you know, I was digging up some value and data. So I was reading through some journals, and one of the journals said that the rate of lung cancer has decreased in males by 32%, but increased in females by 72% in the last decade. Do you have any idea why is this happening? Like, why are women more targeted towards lung cancer? Why is this happening? Has your specialist told you anything about it?
I wish I knew. I think I ask this question every day. I'm like, at least if I smoked, it would make sense. You know, nothing. And that surprises me. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, because topics like these, they need to be covered with some data, right? And especially with cancer, where little is known about what's going on in your body. But before we let you go, Anchal, just wanted to know that while you were there getting treated, did you ever have an out-of-body experience? Did you ever think that tomorrow, if I were to leave this space, what will I tell my kid, or what will I tell my husband? What should be my last words? Did you ever have those thoughts in your mind?
I feel like not in the hospital. Like I have that all the time, even now. Finally, before I got the call about my NIPT test, like 2 days before, I actually had a dream that it was my funeral.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like I had that dream and I was literally, but again, like I think about it, I'm like, that's so crazy. I was sitting there and I was like watching the people coming in, and you know, I was like, no, not this person can't come, and not out of spite in like a bad way, but I think it's also kind of made me realize that, hey, all these people that were not in my, like, who didn't want to be my friend while everything was good, I don't need sympathy now.
Right.
I think I look at life, I just want to be positive. I want to have the best time, and I don't want like people who weren't happy to talk to me before to now be like, oh my God, so sad. How are you? Like, I don't need that. I'm fine. But at the same time, I do want people, not so much me, but I want that comfort to know that, when I'm not here, these people are here for my husband. These people are going to raise my son. And I feel like I struggle with that so much because I'm very, I'm not sure about that. Also, I hope my husband and son are not listening, but I have opened, an email address for both of them, and I've been just sending them emails or videos.
Yeah, I've heard this before.
Me too. Yeah.
One thing, Anchal, sorry. This is something I've heard from people who've, come back from that dead end in their lives. They've either turned towards spirituality or they have looked at religion with an entirely new face, something people have been atheists before, they have done. Have you experienced anything in your life that you've turned towards meditation, spirituality, anything that gives you comfort now?
No, not with all of this going on. I feel like, again, before all of this, I feel like, I don't know whether it was just, I was working towards this happening or something. I feel like I had become very spiritual, so I'm not religious at all.
Right.
I struggle to understand religion, but I believe in God so much. Everything is God.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't label it. And my husband and I are different religions, for example. And to me, my faith in God is so much that I actually feel like now, when all of this has happened, I feel like I've not been wanting to pray. I've not been wanting to do anything godly that I used to do before, because I think I have that bitterness of, why me?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just but that doesn't matter. God's not going to say, oh, she prayed, she didn't pray. I just want to be a good person. And I just hope every single day that I can instill that in my son, which is why I tried to keep sending him emails and things like that. But if anything, and I keep getting so many people say, oh, maybe try this prayer, this will cure you. You're not going to have anything, or go to India, go to this temple, go to that temple. And my doctor's travel, but please. And my doctor's Indian, so not even being racist, but he's do not go to India. He's we go to India and we fall sick. He's your lungs cannot take that. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm just you know what? I don't believe that God's going to cure me because I've gone to this temple. If he wants to, he will do that anyway. But I feel it's kind of, I feel bad saying, but it's
no, it's true, because I read somewhere, not comparing the two, I read somewhere that when girls get assaulted, or anyone who gets assaulted, where is God? There are so many assaults happening, right?
True.
So, Anchal, this is not a one-stop conversation, but somewhere you all have to come to a draw. But before we actually let you go, what would be your message to our listeners? And can we please get your social media handles off you? Thank you.
I think literally, I feel so I'll share my stories and everything and, everything, but my baseline message every single time is live your life. And I think I've been trying to do that even before this diagnosis. So I felt when it happened, I didn't suddenly have that big change of, oh my gosh, no, I should be living my life. I feel I've always sort of had that, for the last few years, that yes, we strive for tomorrow, we work for tomorrow, we save for tomorrow, but don't just live for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that's not guaranteed. And you know what? I consider myself very lucky that I have this diagnosis. I couldn't think of anything worse than just being hit by a bus and going like that with, so it's now it's long weekend. Hey, you know what? Long weekend was from Thursday. Tuesday night, we booked our tickets to go because we can. If we can't, that's okay. We'll still do whatever we can at home and, things like that. So whereas all these plans I've had that I want to go here, I want to go there, I feel now we're kind of rushing and doing everything. But that's just almost how it should be. If you can do it and don't keep saying, oh no, I'll do this at this point,
Yeah.
just leave for this and we don't know, just do it and be happy. So, if people tell me pray and you'll be fine, do this, I'm like, I just want to be happy. So if I'm doing that prayer and it's making me happy, that's fine. And I feel like that's how we should live life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what makes us happy. But again, like when I say this, I'm also logical. Like I don't mean I would love to, I'm sure everyone would love to just quit their job and live their best life. Like, no, that's not how it works. But overall, try and be happy. Be with the people that actually care about you. Like I know I've spent the last 10 years running after people. I was really going to mention names here, but no, I've been running after people that do not care. They say they care, they don't. And I have cried about it. And now I'm just like, so much time wasted. Like, what am I doing? And I've also found by being vocal or like on social media and things, like I have random people, like I had someone say to me a few days ago, she was like, oh, I always, and one of my husband's friend's wife, she's like, I always, wonder like why this has happened. And if God was to grant me one wish, I'd use it on your family. And that just, I was like, I did not see that coming. And I was like, I feel so blessed that if God was to grant one wish, I feel blessed enough to say that I would not use it on myself. And the world just needs so much more. Like I'd literally be like, God, make a happy world, make a peaceful world. And we just need to focus on being better people. The world is so awful. Like I think every single day.
It is the need of the hour. Absolutely. I agree, Anchal. Absolutely. Anchal, your social media handles, please.
Yes. So my Facebook is just Anchal Mehta-Senghera and my Instagram is Anchal Senghera.
Thank you. On that note, Anchal, this was a very, I can't say a lovely conversation, but a very inspiring conversation, because we need more people like you to not only speak up, but to be empathetic towards one another. And we need more people to kind of get connected and raise awareness, because the minute we hear cancer, we ostracize that person. We stigmatize that person. So high time that taboo needs to get up. So thank you for joining us on this conversation, Anchal. This really means a lot to us and to our listeners. Those of you who've heard us for a while, we really hope that you like what we put on the table. If you've got any thoughts or comments, please write to us at coconutchats@gmail.com. We love to read what you write about us, what you think about us. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And those of you who've heard us for the first time, we really hope that you've had a lot to take away from Anchal's journey, her experience, her awareness. And please do not ostracize anybody who has cancer. They are just as normal as you and myself. On that note, Anchal, thank you so much again for joining us. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, girls.
Bye.
Bye.